Hello and welcome to today's video. Today a fun one. I'm looking at this. This is from Wancher. This is part of their 1x1x1 line, which is their sort of more budget-friendly pens. They're well known for making super high-end pens, you know, with the Ruchis and Ebonites and all that kind of thing, and collaborating with brands, you know, and they are probably one of my favorite brands of Japanese fountain pen. And the ones we're looking at today is one of the most interesting in a lot of ways. I really like their 1x1x1 line. I really like the fact that they have a budget-friendly line in mind, and that they, you know, they want to put good pens in the hands of everyone, which is great. Now, the box, simple box, cardboard, orange base, white top. If we take this top off, we will get to see the pen, and this is it. This is just some little instructions and things. We don't need to look at that. Comes with an extra cartridge in here. This is the cartridge version. There's also an eyedropper version of this pen. And this pen is the PoChaCo. The PoChaCo is a very unique fountain pen. This is the orange chocolate version. There are a couple of different versions available, so check those out. And as I said, there is an eyedropper and a cartridge version. I have the cartridge version and I have a cartridge in the pen. Now, a little while ago, I reviewed this. This is the Pochaico, which is the little version of it, which I really enjoy. I like the fact that it disappears in your hand. You can do some quick note taking. You're not going to do long journaling sessions and things with this pen. It's not designed for that, but you know, it's small, able to be used. It's an eyedropper fill. You can see the ink inside the barrel of that. So the barrel is the same as this version, but because I've got a blue ink in here, you get a lot of that sort of color coming through. It's a really fun little pen. And when this pen model was sort of designed by Wancher, they sort of said the mascot of it was a chubby penguin, and I can kind of see this. One thing I like about this pen is that, I'll show a photo of it here, but if you scale the PoChaCo up to the size of the PoChaCo, you actually end up with basically the same kind of dimensions. A few different shape options, but the same kind of dimensions. Now, the reason I'm showing this today is because Wancher is actually giving one of these away at the moment. So from the 10th of December through the 20th of December 2024, Wancher is doing a giveaway of one of these pens. Now, I'm not associated with the giveaway. I've just timed my review here to line up with it, so to sort of spread the word. All the basic rules apply. I'll include them in my video description here, but as I said, I'm not associated with it. I won't be making any announcement as to the winner. That'll be all handled by Wancher. I'm just passing on the exciting news of a giveaway. But basically, you've got to like them on Instagram, Facebook, and X, or share their information about this to your stories. You've got to tag a couple of people, all those kinds of things. Your posts have to be public. You know, all that kind of stuff. You also have to guess the ink capacity of the eyedropper version in milliliters of the PoChaCo pen. So I'm not giving any of that information away today. You have to guess. And yeah, that's just the giveaway. I said I'll include all the information below. You can find it also on their social media. This is a brand I really, really like. Really like. But today, let's talk about the parts and features of this pen, the PoChaCo from Wancher. So, top of the pen, we get this sort of gold medallion with the Wancher flower pattern or logo in it. The cap is a black plastic, which is cylindrical. The clip is a gold colored clip, which is relatively stiff. It's on a band on there, but it's very usable. At the end of the cap, there's a little step down onto the barrel, which is this sort of cracked acrylic material, which tapers down to a lovely rounded end. There's great care taken in the polishing and the finishing on this pen. I really enjoy that. And it's got a vaguely sort of like bullet-like shape. Now, it is a screw cap and it comes off in 1.5 turns, which makes it pretty convenient and very usable. There is a pretty decent size step down onto this section, and the section is quite chunky and it tapers quite a lot. And then you'll get some threads at the end of the section there. And then a number 6 Wancher nib in steel. I have it in a fine here. It's also available in medium. And there is a plastic bead. Now, as I said, this is a cartridge pen, not a converter. I don't think you get a converter to fit in here. I've got a plain black cartridge in there that was provided. But there is an O-ring just here at the end of the threads. And this is all one piece of acrylic. So if you were careful, if you wanted to test it first, I don't see any reason why this couldn't be eyedroppered, but maybe it doesn't have the same capacity as the full eyedropper version, because this acrylic is like, it's quite thick as well. So it's a really fun little pen. Now, in this format, it's probably too short for most people to write with. It's sort of an awkward kind of length, but it does post quite securely. And when you post it, it becomes a good length pen. And it's a comfortable length pen. And it doesn't feel like a small pen because it's super girthy, and it's got an okay length. The cap there sits beyond your hand, and so your hand, the cap body sort of sits there on your hand, and it's quite comfortable. When I've shown people this pen, they're like, what is that? Most people, the things that people thought this pen was, hilarious. Perfume, mascara, you name it, someone thought it was that. But yes, as well as being a little bit of a, a conversation starter, it's a fully functioning and really quite comfortable pen to use. And I think that covers the parts and features of this pen. I will say right here, this pen retails in Australia for about $64. Well, from Japan, $64 Australian plus postage, all that kind of thing. So it's not super cheap, but it is definitely not a particularly expensive fountain pen, and you are getting something of a novelty. And one thing I will say I really like is this kind of material combination. It screams sort of Italian fountain pen and the golden age of fountain pens, all that. It's a really classic kind of color combination. Okay, time for a size comparison now. And before I do the proper size comparison, I wanted to show it alongside this pen. This is the Moonman Q1. This is modeled off a Tombow fountain pen. It's a kind of a knockoff of that. And it shares very similar dimensions, but a very, very different design aesthetic to the Wancher. But the same sort of function applies. Sort of girthy, short pen that when posted, and I'll quickly post these now, it becomes a pretty decent sized pen in the hand. Now you can see that there are similar dimensions. There's a little bit of a similar kind of shape to the section, threads at the end, all that kind of thing. But the design aesthetic of the Wancher is very, very much its own, and ties in, of course, with that original PoChaCo version of the pen. And now for the actual size comparison. I've got it here alongside the PoChaCo, and then a Lamy Safari fountain pen. So it sits in the middle in terms of length, but girth-wise, it outranks both of them by considerable amounts. Unposted, it's still far, far shorter there than the Lamy Safari. I tend to write with my Lamy Safaris unposted, so that is how I would be writing with it. And if we firstly just post the Wancher here, you see it's about the same length as the Lamy Safari. So it does become a good length. Of course, when you post the Lamy Safari, it once again becomes considerably longer. But you can see the similarity in dimensions relative to size with the PoChaCo and the PoChaCo there. So what are the dimensions here of the PoChaCo from Wancher? Well, firstly, it's 108 millimeters when it is capped. So it's okay size. Small, but not sort of super, super small. Unposted, it's about 98, 99 millimeters. So it's just an awkward kind of length and probably just too short for most people to use. You might be able to tick something off a list or quickly write down a phone number or something, but not much more than that. But posted, it's 133, which is quite a usable length. And with that number 6 size nib, it makes it sort of quite comfortable in the hand and quite comfortable for writing. The pen, the measurements of the pen, it's like 12 to 14 millimeters around the middle of the section, as it's quite a strong taper, and you do feel that taper. And around the top of the cap is about 21 millimeters. So it's, it's a chunky pen. In terms of weight, it's about 38 grams. So you do feel a substantial pen in your hand. And when it is posted, it does feel quite unique, but surprisingly comfortable. Okay, let's do a quick writing sample. So this is the Wancher. And I'll just put 1 by 1 by 1 there. And this is the PoChaCo in orange chocolate. This has a number 6 steel fine nib, and it is, as I said, available in medium also. The ink in this is just the black cartridge that came with the pen from Wancher. Let's do some writing. There's a bit of feedback on the nib, but it is quite smooth and it does write relatively wet. It's not the wettest pen going around, and it doesn't write as wet with fast writing, of course, but it is, you know, perfectly adequate in terms of wetness. Reverse writing, not entirely possible. It sort of fades out very quickly. Flex writing, surprising amount of bounce on this nib. It's not super flexy, and you are putting down a lot more ink, but there's a surprising amount of bounce, which is quite nice. Quick writing. So you can see there's a few spots where it kind of like thins out a little bit, not necessarily skips, but thins out, but also you are still writing with a decent amount of ink. It writes well. Like Wancher may have their tongue slightly in their cheek when they've created this pen, particularly when you think of the little brother of it there. But what you have is you have a pen that is a comfortable pen in the hand. It writes well. It's affordable. It's a conversation starter. It's unique. So there's lots to love. Let's talk about some pros and cons now. So what are the pros and cons? Firstly, cons. The form and design and all of that is not going to be for everyone. Some people will not like the taper of that. Some people will not like how thick it is. Some people will not like sort of the slightly odd dimensions. But there are so many pros. It's a fun pen. It's a classic combination of orange and black with that sort of cracked, acrylic sort of style of material. Some of those little details, they are classic pen details. I really like it. It's an okay price at 64 Australian dollars. You're not paying a few $100s for a Wancher pen. You're not getting the same kind of pen as you would for a few $100s from Wancher. You're getting something that's unique and part of their 1x1x1 sort of lineup, and I think it's kind of cool. I enjoy writing with it. I enjoy the conversations I have with people when I use it. I enjoy the fact that it's slightly silly. And I think that's the point. It's not a serious pen, but it is a pen that you can write with. So this was the Wancher PoChaCo. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. As I said at the top of the video, between the 10th and the 20th of December 2024, Wancher is giving one of these away. So head over to all their socials, that kind of stuff, for more information. I'll include the basics of it in my video description here, but I don't have anything to do with it. Repeat, I do not have anything to do with the giveaway. I'm just sharing the news of it. And that's why this review is happening when it is. But yes, it's a pen I enjoy. A big thank you to Wancher for sending it out. Go in to win it. Why not? It's a cool, fun little pen. So yes, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you would like to support the channel, I would really love to hear from you. It's your support that makes these videos possible, and there are many ways you can support my channel, so thank you in advance. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, whatever they may be, and I'll talk to you soon.